Rashi to Shmot 28, the Zachor et Yom HaShabbat, provides us with a rather lengthy commentary that makes 2 points. In the first segment of the Rashi, he attempts to reconcile the two versions of the Aseret HaDibrot regarding Shabbat. That of the Shemot version, we have the positive commandment of Zachor, while in the Devarim version of the Aseret HaDibrot has the Shamor, which appears to be a negative commandment of not violating the Melachot associated with Shabbat. His opening statement is that Zachor v'Shamor b'dibor echad ne'emru. With the Aseret HaDibrot, God uttered both words, and within the single utterance, the nation heard both Zachor and Shamor. And then provides a number of examples where, with respect to a particular mitzvah, there are two mutually exclusive requirements recorded in the text. One regarding the offering of korbanot on Shabbat, a second shatnez, a third the mitzvah of yivum. Rashi bases this insight upon a pasuk in Tehillim, Achat diber Elokim, Shtaim shamati. God spoke one utterance. Within that utterance was embedded two thoughts, and those two thoughts were heard by man. It is the second half of the Rashi to Zachor that relates to our issue of Lakoach, in that Rashi defines the term Zachor as Lashon Pa'ol Hu. Hebrew language as it is taught today has the verb format of a word divided into a total of 7 binyamin. These 7 have a simple, intensive, and causative aspect. The simple and intensive have an active and a passive component. Classical Hebrew, it seems, has an 8th, and that is the pa'ol, possibly a subgroup of the present tense format that describes an action that is ongoing. That the pa'ol is a verb form that denotes an ongoing activity. A more precise rendering of the Zachor, writes the ArtScroll footnote to this pasuk, would be remembering the Yom HaShabbat. This is something that is grammatically awkward, and understandably, over time, the ongoing format was morphed into a command. Hence, the translators all render the Zachor as remember the day of Shabbat. Rashi then goes on to provide us with two examples for the pa'ol format of a verb. Strange examples indeed. One from Yeshayahu 22, achol v'shato, the other from Shmuel, haloch o bacho. Rashi then goes on to elaborate on the fact that the term Zachor is in a pa'ol format. V'chein pitrono. Such is the interpretation for the word Zachor as an ongoing verb, tnu lev lizkor tamid et Yom HaShabbat. That this is a command that throughout the entire week the focus should be toward the upcoming Shabbat. So that, for example, she'im nizdamein lecha chefetz yafeh, if one happens to come across an item of exceptional beauty, tehei mazmino l'Shabbat. Reserve that item for use on Shabbat. Which brings us to a set of 4 questions that undermine the interpretation of both the Mizrahi and the Sifsei Chachamim for the intent of Rashi's commentary to the Lakoach from Devarim 31. That if we are to introduce a radical interpretation to this term Lakoach, taking it out of its pshat reading as modifying the Sefer Torah, Lakoach et Sefer HaTorah Hazeh, and applying to it a long-term goal that this Sefer Torah must impact upon man throughout all generations, then at the very least, Rashi should have provided us with the details for the change, as he does in his commentary to Zachor, v'chein pitrono. This is how the word is to be understood, and then goes on to explain the redefinition and application to the word Zachor, rather than, as he does in Dvarim 31, where he writes that the word lakoach is like Zachor, Shamor, and Haloch.